Houston, what's up? 2021, how are you? I'm Jay Julio Vela with Kate Farrell. How are you, Kate?
Hi, JV. How were your holidays?
Very good. Not long enough. Justin Ayers, how are you, sir?
I'm good. Santa Claus brought you a bunch of new books. You gonna read all those?
I had it for a minute. Hey, look, novel legal questions are very expensive.
So that's how much it costs to hire you? A book?
Mark with Houston Media Source, how is 2021 doing for you?
Very, very groovy.
Everybody else, we're going to talk about a few things of what's going on in Harris County, the backlog, the PD's office, then no more going to court. How about we talk about what's going on with the White House? And we got a whole new group of judges that are coming in. If you want to talk, chat, get on Facebook. I'm going to figure this out, y'all. Get on HSCLA or my page and talk, and I can ask some questions. So what's going on, y'all? How are you? Welcome to 2021. Hi.
It's off with a bang.
It's a big bang. A revolutionary bang by idiots.
The one of the best memes I've seen is where it says, 2020 and then 2021 means like 2021 is going to beat 2020.
Let's
and I
hope
look
not.
at it in a positive way, like it's going to kick its ass, That's me.
Not for worst year, I hope.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Talking about worst year, there might be a lot of attorneys who are going to have a terrible year. The PD's office is getting asking for 62 new more attorneys. Hey, I love the PD's office. I'll go on record on saying some of the best lawyers are in the PD's office. And quite frankly,
Agreed.
I'm going to have to figure out how to make I'm going to have to figure out some other ways to make some money because the PD's office is growing and getting big. And hey, change is what it is. Thoughts, questions, concerns?
Well, I just want to be clear in what they are asking for.
Yes, please.
So people kind of
Kate's
have
got
an
the numbers
understanding.
on this.
Yeah, so
Talk
at
about
Commissioner's Court, which is Commissioner's Court is hearing for the budget for the year. And so it was today was the first day and they're having the presentations. And the PD's office submitted a request for a couple of things. They want for, say, the trial misdemeanor division. And I would like to point out that the budget request from the PD's office made a point to say that the Commissioner's Court instructed the department to plan to reach 50% of court appointments in 2 years. And that's the trial for misdemeanors. So they want to take their cases from approximately 3,000 to 10,000 next year, which would equal about half of all misdemeanor court appointments. And go ahead.
I'm thinking, do we know total amounts of how many misdemeanor cases are filed a year? It has to be at least, 10,000, 15,000?
No, it's like 60,000, 70,000.
Serious? It's that crazy?
Well, there's
Well, yeah,
91,000 filings in a year? Isn't that a number I heard earlier today?
It's incredible.
Something like 90,000
Yeah.
filings. Probably, 2/3 of those are petty misdemeanor cases?
Yeah, I mean, if they want to take it to 3,000 to 10,000, and that's supposed to be half, then you would figure it's about 20,000 misdemeanor cases each year.
Well, that's 20,000 indigent. They want to have
Yes,
10,000
correct.
people who qualify for a court-appointed attorney. They want to take
Sorry,
those. There's
correct.
still, all three of us still
Correct.
take private paid retained clients. So that number
Yes.
doesn't include that.
Correct. And then on the felony side, they want to take 50% of those as well, which would be, they receive approximately 5,000 to 9,000 next year, from 5,000 to 9,000, and then the following year up to 16,000 is their plan for that.
And in total, they intend to do this, or the PD's office is requesting 62 or 63 new attorneys total.
I want to give.
I didn't know if they were talking.
I want to give the
120 over 2 years.
So what they're requesting is For a trial felony is 24 attorneys, additional attorneys. For the misdemeanor, an additional 16. And then juvenile, they want 5 more. And writs, they want 2 more, is what they're requesting.
I think that the PD's office is a good idea. I do.
Well, good. It exists.
But as we know, there's some advocates out on the scene that say, let me play devil's advocate for a second. They say that the PD's office is going to put the private bar out of business. And to a certain degree, if one hears that, they're going to have 50% of the appointments, it will take out misdemeanors and really, I don't know if will it take it out? I mean, there's a lot of crime in Harris County. The district attorney's office is going crazy with filings all over the place. I mean, is the pie big enough? Is it really big enough? I think so. Maybe. Thoughts?
Well, I would like to hear more about this, but something I saw earlier in regards to this budget was that they are making up the cost of these new attorneys and investigators and the staff. The public defender's office estimates that 63% of the cost of the 2-year plan will be offset by an eventual $14 million reduction in court-appointed attorneys. So right there tells you that 14 million less money is going to come to the private bar sector.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Do we know how much there already is? That's 14 million over 2 years, right?
Well, I guess the idea is that 14 million would cost about 60 lawyers. I wonder what's the total number of attorneys on the court appointment wheel. Also, I wonder if the costs that they were attributing that it would cost a lawyer to be hired included operational costs like space, computers, admin, office utilities. So, for example, I thought the salaries that they were proposing, or at least that I've heard, are upwards of 190,000 for a felony prosecutor, 130 for a misdemeanor. I don't know.
Prosecutor or public defender?
Pardon me, public defender.
I don't think they're paying him $190,000. I think it's 90,000.
Is it 90?
No, Justin. According to their sheet that they put out, the salary is $192,000 for felony trial.
See, but I think that takes into account if that's the case.
Some of the benefits.
If that's the case, yeah, but still, 190,000.
That's not salary. That's cost to the county.
Fair, right? That's what I'm thinking. But even it's very attractive.
I'll tell you what it includes.
If I was for 100, well, that'd be their pension. That'd be their pension. I don't know that it includes support staff, but all that other stuff.
I think it's just included. That's how much it costs for an attorney. And you know what, dude? That's to work with in what I would say is one of the best PD's office on the planet. It might be worth it, man. It's very enticing. That's incredible.
So the salary, so that number would include salary and benefits. So that would be the cost of the retirement system and the cost of the healthcare insurance.
That's
so great. You're still looking at a great salary with some amazing benefits. And the misdemeanor side is 123,000. And by the way, it's like
getting this off the commissioner's website. So rather than this sounding like we're recruiters for the public defender's office and trying to sell people on and applying there, do we know anything about what this would mean in a court?
I think courts are limited in the amount of PDs that they can appoint. I think that they are required to appoint when a PD pops up on the wheel. I think that the PDs, as it's been stated, I think in some of the commissioner's testimony, or evidence that there'd be a lot of conflicts too. Like you can never, when you're handling that many cases, you're inevitably going to run into conflicts all over the place. So
that's one thing I would be really curious to see if they've thought about. The bigger it gets, now all of a sudden you have like one law firm representing people who are complainants in one case that's totally unrelated to the new case that they're now the office is defending them in. That'd be an interesting conversation to have with someone, how much that's been discussed.
Well, why can the prosecutor's office can do that. They prosecute somebody who ends up the victim in a case.
Yeah, but if you try to work with them to get certain things for someone who they're also prosecuting, like protective orders and stuff, they will shut that down. I represent a couple of complainants right now because the district attorney's office wants to help them but can't because they're also prosecuting them for something totally unrelated. I don't know. I'm not saying it makes sense. I just want to know if people smarter than me have thought about this and what they're doing. Because if it gets too big, then you just got basically, I mentioned this earlier in the text message. Are they going to become the biggest law firm in Texas?
Yeah,
Last I heard that the district attorney's office of Harris County is the largest law firm in the state of Texas.
Hey, times have changed.
Will the public defender's office become that?
They're become the juggernaut, right?
Yeah.
Well, I have a separate question. We are spending all this money to set up the MAC. Why is the PDO's office now taking half the cases?
How does the MAC play into this? That's a great question. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of questions. So if anybody's got answers, JV's got his finger on the pulse of the public.
Well, I'm looking, man. Ever since we changed over to this new system, I'm not sure how people can Oh, look, we got some comments. Where are the comments at? Any comments? See, I don't know how to do the real-time comments here. Is anyone commenting? This is what I'm texting.
Ronnie says 190 down. So
that includes your retirement and your health care.
But that's pretty good.
That's going to attract top talent, period. And that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm not over here on my laptop pulling up an application.
No, Esther. Hey, where's it at? But what you ask for, what they're going to get is completely different, I suppose.
Sure. And so my question is, right now, so they're asking for 18 new misdemeanor prosecutors. There's 16 misdemeanor courts. So that's either 2 floaters or 2 to cover specialty courts or something like that. Right now, there's 5 private attorneys who take appointments on a rotating basis per week or per day of the week in the misdemeanor courts. So is this whole proposal going to result in 4 private attorneys and 1 more?
Sorry.
But 4 private attorneys doing court appointments from the private sector and 1 public defender for 5? Or is this going to be a 6th attorney representing indigent people in the courts? Like, I have questions about this because, JV, that's something that you and I talked about a long time ago, and I thought was a brilliant point on your part to lighten the load in some of the misdemeanor courts. If they just added 1 more attorney.
Yeah. Just one more. Add one more in there. Like,
and you don't have to pay anybody any less. We'd be spread less thin on some of our cases.
Mm-hmm. I think, right? I hope somebody from the PD's office is watching. I hope Alex may want to come on and maybe talk to us about some of this. That would be great. One area that won't ruffle any of our feathers is I also saw DA Ogg's request, and that's fun to look at.
Speaking of Ogg's request, let me introduce somebody. Bioji.
Oh.
Where you at,
guys?
Yeah, B.
Hey, Bioji, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey,
thanks for joining the party. Happy New Year.
Allow me to introduce the man, the myth, the legend, Bioji. A fabulous attorney, is now on his own. He's getting out there, making a name. Great lawyer. We've had, I can't even tell you how many battle scars and battle wounds that we've had. Welcome to the defense bar. And speaking of Kim Ogg, how's it being on your own, man?
Yeah, speaking of battle scars, I got a few that Bioji left on me from some trials. Welcome to the light side.
Can we talk about Bioji's background? Good marketing. I love it.
Yeah.
Sorry about the shameless plug, but
hey, it's good. Dude, okay, how long were you at the DA's office, man?
Well, I started as a pre-commit back in August of 2016. So it's been about 4.5 years.
And what you ended up in a felony court? What felony court were you in?
The latest, I was in Judge Roll, and I saw you there all the time in the 179.
Yeah, we were there all the time. Man, I'm so me and I were. Some of them were gonna last. These cases were gonna last forever. So I'm sorry for the new guy, whoever got our cases, because they ain't never gonna die.
Yeah, exactly.
So tell us, man. Tell us some deets, dude. What's up? How's the backlog? Like, how are y'all even managing over there? How were y'all even managing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
were they?
Were. Well, as far as I knew about the backlog, there were a lot of cases that were filed as 2Bs, but they hadn't been fully processed. It was just pretty much just sitting there pending at the intake office. So one of the last things that happened, maybe about 3 weeks ago, all of the pending backlog 2Bs were then sent to the trial bureau, and the trial bureau prosecutors had to pretty much finish filing the warrants on those 2Bs.
Felonies and misdemeanors?
Okay, well, Bioji, let me ask you this, because I pulled up DA's Ogg's budget request, and let me kind of get your take on what she's asking for. So she's asking for, $1.6 million just for the intake division. She says that because of COVID, that there's a backlog of 2B warrants, thousands, and they need to increase the staff from 8 to 11 prosecutors per shift instead of the current 4 to 5 prosecutors per shift. The additional pandemic has created an extra layer of work. So basically, she is blaming the pandemic for all of this. What do you think about that?
First, can you explain what a 2B is for those at home who don't know?
Hey, that's the question, man.
Well, I know, but I want Bioji to start with, like, what is a 2B, and explain that whole process and what intake does.
So as far as what a 2B is, for instance, if someone is accused of committing a crime, and let's say that person isn't there for the police officers to arrest on the spot and send to jail, what would typically happen is law enforcement will complete their investigation. They'll usually either take the charges to the intake division, and the intake prosecutors will look at the typed up arrest warrant for this individual, and if between the prosecutor and law enforcement officers, if they believe that there's probable cause for an arrest, there will be an arrest warrant filed for that particular person accused of committing a crime. And so pretty much that person has a warrant hanging over their head until they either turn themselves in or end up getting pulled over by police. And so to answer Katie's question, personally, I think it's kind of convenient to say because of COVID. Having worked there for 4 years, I think one of the big impacts to the intake division was cutting off the overtime pay for 1.5 to 1, which was a disincentive for senior experienced prosecutors to look at or to take up those intake shifts. And so what ended up happening is Kim Mogg made the decision to hire a lot of new intake prosecutors. I don't want to denigrate anyone, but the fact of the matter is if you haven't been a prosecutor, if you haven't had a chance to see these charges actually go through fruition from start to finish, you lack the perspective to decide which cases need to be accepted and which cases need to be denied. And so what ends up happening is you get inexperienced prosecutors accepting a lot of charges that shouldn't be accepted. And I think that contributes to some of that backlog as well. Quite frankly, I think if they were to get any extra money, it should be money used towards giving the senior prosecutors more an incentive to get back into the intake division. And I think that might be a potential solution.
Because I know when I worked at the DA's office as a misdemeanor, we would start taking shifts in intake, but we were closely monitored and we were only allowed to accept misdemeanor charges. And then when you got up into the felony trial bureau, you could start taking felony intake shifts. But again, you were closely monitored for a long time to make sure you were appropriately accepting the right charges and saying no to the right ones. But if she's hiring people straight into that intake division, you have none of that experience coming down.
Right. And you know, the saying goes, justice delayed is justice denied. So I think it creates a bad situation for both sides. You know, being a former prosecutor, I had a case where we filed a 2B warrant on an aggravated robbery, and that case was just sitting there at the intake division's desk. So you have someone accused of a very serious crime just out there, you know, not even having an arrest warrant that has been executed. But then on the other hand, you know, for criminal defendants, some of which may have been falsely accused, and to not even have an opportunity to begin the process, you're just in limbo. So it's definitely a situation that hopefully gets resolved soon.
So Kate and Bioji, y'all both worked in intake before?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so explain this to me, and I really don't know this. So you get a 2B warrant, or the case is to be filed and get a warrant? What is she saying is backed up?
She's saying a bunch of people need to be arrested, and I'm saying she crazy. What does she expect,
I
man?
agree with you on.
Right?
I don't disagree with you on that. But what I'm trying to figure out is what's the backlog? I mean, the charges have been filed already. That's why there's a 2B warrant, because the person is to be arrested still. So what? Don't they just send those to the police officers and say, go find these people? Why is intake? Why are more DAs, 1.2 million or whatever, gonna and taxpayer funds gonna clear that up? I don't understand.
Is there nobody that does the check? Like nobody checks. Like I often wonder how in the world y'all are. The district attorney's office is filing cases with literally zero offense reports, supplements, witness statements. They're literally just going on the dims, on the hey, we gotta. How does that work, B? Okay, how does that work, Kate? Cops call you because Harris County has a direct to file or direct to DA system, right? That's what it's called, direct to DA, versus other counties. They have this kind of, they investigate first and then file charges, or you wait around for a long time to get a court date, like in Fort Bend or Hayes County. How does that work? Is there anybody other than that intake prosecutor saying, yeah, we'll take this charge? Is anybody looking over them?
Well, when I was there was a felony intake chief that, like, I mean, is that what you're talking about? Like, they would monitor what was going on.
Is that how it still is? Because it sounds like if they're going to spend some money, they need to spend some money in intake, figuring out what cases are okay and what aren't. I mean, there's.
Well, that's what Bioji's
Well, that goes back
for.
to Bioji. Yeah.
But what's causing the backlog? The cop calls or brings a file over and says, here's the files, the charge I'm seeking. I'm filing these charges. And the DA decides whether to accept it or decline it. If they accept it, then if the person doesn't on view the crime, the officer doesn't on view the crime, then they issue a 2B warrant. What is this, and why is there like a stack of paper of warrants that need to get a magistrate to sign
On a particularly busy night, what happens is the officer comes up with a draft of a warrant. In some instances, not even a draft, you have to be the one to type up the warrant right then and there. So I think the backlog may be stemming from the fact that the prosecutor has to look at those drafts, you know, proofread it, have conversations with the officer with respect to whether or not they're missing certain elements that give rise to the charged offense. So from what I've heard, it's just a matter of some of these drafts of warrants just pretty much sitting at the intake office. But to be frank, I personally, it's been about 2 years since I've been in intake, pretty much ever since they took away the incentive. So I'm not as closely attached to that situation to be talking about the particulars.
Well, it's not an incentive
But
thing.
I
They
think
now
that-
have
well-
like full-time prosecutors in intake, right? They never see a trial courtroom.
Exactly. Right now, the way
Yeah.
it works is there's new hires, full-time prosecutors that pretty much will cover the day shift, like a typical 9 to 5 job. And most of them don't have that experience of, trying cases, handling rip calls, evaluating cases. So some of the quality of the charges, I would say, have declined over the past couple of years.
Well, let me.
Well,
Heard
I
it here
think that
first.
I think that goes back to the warrant issue too. If you don't have experienced prosecutors, writing a warrant is going to take a lot longer. Your felony twos and your who could type up a warrant real fast and make sure everything was there, you're missing that level of experience. So that again is going to contribute to the backlog. I mean, I think the real issue is there's not a lot of experience.
Kimberly McTorry comments and says the backlog is because the only prosecutors allowed to use discretion without being punished are the chiefs. Do you find, I'm not saying your chiefs because your chiefs are great, but from the upper brass, did you find some pressure coming from them? Because Kimberly McTorry is a former prosecutor, and I too believe that the idea of discretion and prosecutors being able to be lawyers. Did you ever feel like you were cuffed on it by OG on being a lawyer, or did you feel in making decisions or that you might get reviewed?
Intake aside, I would say the further I matriculated in the office, the more increased scrutiny as a prosecutor you face with any decision.
Mm-hmm.
And so me personally, I always like to make sure I'm not heavy-handed with my recommendations, particularly with young, especially African-American or Hispanic or minority individuals in our community, trying to find more creative solutions. And I think the opportunity to actually pursue those creative solutions diminishes as you move further and further into the office, especially when you are working under a chief who might be particularly conservative or draconian in their approach. So that's definitely spot on. I think if there was, I have several recommendations, but if there was one, it would be higher level prosecutors. If you're going to trust them to handle murders and ag assaults and rapes, then you should trust them to use their discretion.
I agree.
Yeah,
So,
makes sense.
Do you have PTSD from Judge Roll?
No, I love Judge Roll. I love Judge Roll.
You know you do. Everybody gets
The state in that courtroom loves Judge Roll.
He was a friendly judge. He was a friendly judge. He was knowledgeable. I know, it might be a different perspective as a defense attorney, but I never had that perspective. But from my perspective, sitting there as a prosecutor, it was nothing but pleasant working in his court. It's actually one of my favorite courts to work in.
What do you think about Judge Martinez coming in?
I would say I was really looking forward to seeing how she would rule on the bench. That's one thing I guess I regret not having the opportunity to see Judge Martinez and to see what the differences were like. But I hope to be able to practice in her court as a defense attorney.
Yeah, you'll get to see all the courts as a defense attorney. That's the fun thing.
That's a good point.
Hey, well, B, stick around for the rest of the show or zoom out. But we're gonna move on, man.
Just chime in to anything we're talking about.
Hey, what's up with Washington? What's the deal? No?
DC? Man, I don't even know what to say.
Crazy, man.
Wait,
what is going on?
did something happen? Did something happen in DC?
Look.
If any of those people had not been white,
I was gonna say that. I'm kind of a light-skinned Mexican. I used to be super dark, but B, I'd be like, if we were doing that, dude, that ain't right, dude.
Yeah, it was pictures of people scaling the wall of the
There were pictures.
So I watched.
Oh, go ahead, Kate.
I was gonna say I watched a YouTube video of this, the epitome of white privilege. This white lady obviously had gotten maced, and they were like, "Well, why did they mace you?" And she was like, "Well, we got 2 feet in the door." And he was like, "Why were you trying to get in there?" And she's like, "It's a revolution."
Yeah.
What did you think was, and she was like genuinely shocked that they had maced her. And it's like, you're lucky you didn't get shot, because if you were black, they
Right.
would have shot you. Let's be
And
honest.
to add
You
some perspective to it, several months ago, George Floyd lost his life at the hands of law enforcement, and that was a just cause. And so people were justly marching in DC for George Floyd's death. And if you see the photographs of the presence of law enforcement at these George Floyd protests, which were for the most part peaceful, and you compare that to the images of the lack of police presence for people that are essentially engaging in insurrection for an unjust cause, I think it starkly demonstrates, some of the underlying racial issues in our country.
Absolutely. You had 289 arrests from that Black Lives Matter protest. 0 deaths, 289 arrests. They didn't even get on the Capitol grounds. You had people sitting in the speaker's private office, sitting at the president pro tem's thing in the Senate.
Funny.
And 51 arrests, 4 people killed. Well, 1 person killed, 4 people dead. And it flooded the entire thing. They had to evacuate the senators, the House of Representatives. The vice president was holding joint session. It's absolutely ridiculous. You're right, Bayoji.
It's a hoax. It's a fake. It's a fraud.
What,
JV.
Well, hold on. Was anybody else genuinely surprised that it was so easy to get into the Capitol?
Yes. Have you seen that meme where it's like a Cheeto? It's like a Cheeto holding the wall. It's like the White House's barricade. It's hilarious.
Well, there's videos of cops moving barricades out of the way after protesters were already insurrectionists were already inside the Capitol. They were moving the barricades out of the way to let them go further in. I mean,
and listening to NPR this evening, there are reports that police officers did have the opportunity to make arrests, for the assault, for the trespassing, for the criminal mischief, and in a lot of instances just let them go. So now law enforcement is kind of working behind the 8 ball here, trying to ask pretty much the rest of the country if you can identify these people through social media. So the way law enforcement treated these white rioters is completely different from what you would expect from peaceful protesters.
Let me ask you,
they're rioters. I misspoke when I said protesters. They're rioters, insurrectionists, treasonists. Sorry, JV.
Let me ask you something, Bayoji. It hasn't been recently, but in the past, we used to see a lot of the dude wasn't walking on the sidewalk, so that was PC to stop him and search him. Yeah, they were black and Mexican. Or the dude who's doesn't have a light on the bike, and that was the PC to stop him and search him. I don't necessarily think recently, because I think when your crew, maybe 4 years ago, when your crew came in, and since then, I think the DA's office has really diversified. But there are times when I look back and I think about those times, and I see some, who have left and who are still there at the DA's office. Did you ever feel like sometimes just too many black people and Mexicans are being arrested? Because I do. Not as much.
I think that's an issue that is pervasive, that extends far beyond Harris County. If anything, that is what incentivized me to be a prosecutor in the first place, to be frank. I remember studying for the bar when Philando Castile and Alton Sterling were killed. And I remember questioning whether or not I should even become a prosecutor. And one of the reasons why I decided to follow through with my decision was that I think in order for there to be some kind of correction to the over prosecution of Black and brown bodies, there needs to be people that look like them on the law enforcement side, because when you have someone that looks like you sitting across that aisle, that creates more empathy. You look at that person not as a number or as a quote unquote criminal, but as a person who has made poor decisions. And you're sensitive to some of those underlying racial issues that intersect with the criminal justice system.
That's
I have
tough,
a
man. That's
question I
why.
want to ask,
Yeah.
but it feels kind of.
If you don't feel right, don't ask it, Jay. Don't ask it,
Well,
Jay. If you don't feel
I
right.
just want to know. Okay, so 4.5 years. Do you feel like you made a difference in that regard?
I do.
Okay.
Yes.
I wouldn't
All
say it's
right.
a.
Yes.
I wouldn't say it's
I
an.
watched that. Yes.
I wouldn't say it's an exponential difference, you know.
No,
but
it was,
there were
Miles.
several cases, particularly in misdemeanor. And I say this a lot. I love trying cases, and I always take great pride when I win a case. But as a prosecutor, I always also took great pride in dismissing cases. And I had several cases, especially in misdemeanor, where just like you said, the probable cause was a little bit weak, or they're slapped with interference of a police officer. And I took the length to type up a dismissal memo and advocate as a prosecutor for a dismissal. Some of those memos I've saved because that's how much it meant to me to be able to have that kind of power to intervene on behalf of some of these people that enter into our system. But I think the issue is that there needs to be more of that. And certainly Harris County is heading in that direction, but I think until you see people, especially in leadership positions, reflect what the community looks like, you're going to continue to run into those issues.
Let's change gears. We're not supposed to come to court on Monday. That's the rumor, fact, myth. What do you know on the inside, V? You know, y'all heard anything? Because I guess Miss Hogg ain't changing nothing, and supposedly it's supposed to tell us. Come on, what's up?
Okay, so I talked with Judge Rodriguez today. The county courts will have one unified plan for all 16 courts, unlike the district courts.
22 unified plans.
Yeah. So the county courts have submitted because they asked more. So the Supreme Court order that shut down all in-person hearings came down on the 31st of December. And so Harris County was like, there's no way we can comply with this. We are supposed to have, hundreds of people in court on Monday. We can't get a hold of all these defendants. So they asked till the 11th to come up with a plan to implement this. And they have proposed that in the case of arraignments, those will arraignments, if you don't have an attorney, those would still be in person. That jury trials, that would be an exception. And then something that would require the defendant to actually be in court, be it a plea, for some reason that they have to actually be present.
I've heard of rumor that they don't want all the pleas on the internet.
I saw
but
one
you would
today.
still need a thumbprint from the defendant. The electronic plea does not get rid of that. So they would still need to be in
court. Where's that written? Someone show me where that's written.
Let's talk about moving from if you need to be in court to we don't even know if we can be in court to we can only be in court.
Well, let me just.
Yeah.
Sorry, let me just finish. So they will. They have or will be submitting that proposal for approval. We will know before the 11th as far as the county courts. So just expect that arraignments will still be in person. Jury trials will still happen. Now the district courts,
We
the
can't
defense
be there?
attorney can be there. Yes, you can.
Jesus.
Can.
Oh, praise hallelujah.
Now I did
Zoom suite. Anyways.
I did speak with a knowledgeable person in one of the district courts, the 183rd, and they don't plan on doing anything different regardless of the orders. So,
of course, you can't tell a district court anything.
Hey,
yeah,
heavy lies the crown.
Right.
Hey,
that's what they think.
It's
just people's lives at stake. We're just breaking records every day for the number of people who get killed by coronavirus.
I don't think anybody in district court can show up. I don't think anybody's other than being ordered by the court. But okay, but OG, go for it, Kate.
Yes, sir.
But you're right. Ordered by the court, and so they're still some of the district courts are still just going to order people to be there.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
I would like to be there sometimes, all the time. Me personally, all the time. But I see sometimes you can't. But yeah,
Hey, but you've already had coronavirus. You got your natural immunity, so of course you're like, I don't care. I'll
out there,
go.
bro. That's the new strain.
It's still coronavirus. It's just more contagious.
So, how did the district attorney's office switch over to just video almost instantaneously, and she's not going back? Is it really that hard? I mean, quite frankly, B, you're great at trial. I've seen you at trial, but PC's pretty freaking easy. All right, you're reading the dims, okay, on the video, and everybody's PC, and everybody gets bond conditions, and I'm in there just getting my ass kicked. But, do you think it's possible for the district attorney's office to stay on the Zoom for a long period of time? And then I'll pose it to us as a group as to the challenges that we think we'd face going completely Zoom, and if it's even that big of a deal. What says you, Bioji?
Yeah, so I pretty much, for the most part, was handling court in Zoom since March. Not once having entered the courtroom. And my experience having gone through that is, I think when it comes to things such as reading probable cause, arraignments, it's fine. But where you run into the challenge is when you're doing hearings, particularly complex hearings. Now, in my case, I did several hearings, PSI hearings and MAJ hearings via Zoom. But I remember my most recent hearing was a little bit more complicated. I made the decision to, again, do it in Zoom. But in retrospect, looking back, there were constraints that I had. For instance, ID was an issue, and certainly we had a picture, but I couldn't get a good look at the defendant from my vantage point. So I think when you're dealing with some more serious cases, Zoom is just not going to cut it. For those situations, you'd have to come into the courtroom. And from talking to some of my prior colleagues, a lot of them would do that. If they had a serious case, a big PSI hearing, a lot of evidence, or an MAJ hearing, they would come into court and take care of it in person.
Kate and Justin, are you guys primarily Zoom, or are you in person?
I'm in person because I'm taking court appointments in Court 13, and he likes us to be there. I haven't minded being in court because for the county courts, at least, they've kept it very, the docket's light, only, non-attorneys, first appearances need to be there. So I've been comfortable going for those limited things. And then, I've done a couple of cases that they were being resolved, and I wanted to be in court with my client at such a momentous moment. So I've gone for things like that, but I haven't had to do all the trials and things you have.
Justin, you think these judges are going to be cool with us being in other courts on Zoom?
Dude, when I do Zoom, I've got the laptop going on one, the iPad on another, my phone on another.
Okay.
I don't even know where the CJC is anymore. I'm going to get in trouble, but this is expired.
Hey, me too, bro. Me too. I
don't even know where the CJC is. I love going down there. If there's a jury or a witness, they better be there, and I will be there. But I'm putting all that off until I possibly have to go, because the client's not going to get a fair trial under the conditions of NRG or whatever they're going to do when the rodeo comes back to town, or when that's supposed to happen. I don't know. And I've got way too many cases coming set for trial. I got one on Monday. I forgot Monday's the 11th. That's when that new proposal's supposed to come down.
Public service announcement. Everybody needs to download Zoom, right? I mean, you gotta have.
We had stock in that before this all happened.
Right.
You can get it by a link or by an email. And I'm sick of them not giving us any really straight answers on what's going to happen on Monday, because I was under the impression that nobody's supposed to go to court.
Could you get straight answers on what happened for the last 10 months? Who works, please, if you're watching this and you know who works for the county and updates the county websites, can they not update the websites from home working remotely? Like, why is there not up-to-date hccla.org? Okay, that is where you go get up-to-date information. Thanks to our executive director, Christina Appelt. She does an excellent job of updating that thing all the time. But if I want to find out when a court is having docket or how to get on their Zoom or what their Zoom ID is, I can't get that on the court's actual website. I have to go to hccla.org and download Christina's latest PDF, and there it is. That's ridiculous. Thank you, Christina.
Well, I would like to say that some of the judges are great. Judge Warren, his website is completely up to date. All the information is there. I believe Judge Hill is the same way. So there's a couple scattered that really keep their website up to date, and we highly appreciate it.
I'm throwing them all under the bus till they all get their act together.
Oh, snap.
Why can Judge Warren and Judge Hill do it?
No
and I know that
appointments for you.
176 is doing it as well. But why does the district clerk's website still have the 713-755 phone
You
number?
can't find it. You got to go to hccla.org. That's why we're the best on the planet. Hey, B, are you a member yet?
Yes. Well, I applied.
Yeah, I was about
I'm waiting to be accepted.
Yeah, the board will kick my ass if you're like,
Did you send your check? Because if you sent your check, I'll make sure.
I did all of that. I sent the money. I'm just waiting.
Right.
I want to get on the list, sir. Get me on the list, sir.
So speaking of the listserv,
that's a blood oath, dude.
Yeah.
Hey, we're holding you to it.
Don't tell anybody who's still friends
Nah,
with the VA's office what's on there.
Don't do
what
it.
happens on the HCA list
Scout's
stays on
honor.
the HCA list.
Hey, blood on it.
okay, enough.
Okay, fine.
Enough
Sorry,
threatening,
Kate, go
B. So with, y'all mentioned hca.org and the listserv, I'd also like to make sure everybody's aware that the second chair program is restarting. I am accepting applications till January 13th. And what the second chair program is it pairs up a more experienced attorney with a younger, less experienced attorney. Maybe not always younger, but just less experienced. And you get a partnership, and you can, I think what's great, especially with all this technology, is sometimes these really experienced attorneys may not be as familiar with some of this technology. And that's where their mentee could really, help them out. And then, of course, they're going to be helping that mentee with the business side of running a law firm, with cases, with judges. So it's a really great program. I hope I already have a lot of people signed up. Bayoji, if you'd love to sign up, that would be great.
Absolutely. Here's my question. How many, can you have more than one mentor?
Oh, yeah.
Because I would love to try
people.
cases with all three of you guys.
If that's how you
I could learn just as much from you, if not more.
Hey, look. Bayoji got a lot to learn, right?
Yeah. Well, what's great is you would have one official mentor in the program, but man, I always love sitting with somebody else in trial. I love people sitting with me in trial. I mean, I'm a solo attorney, so if I go to trial, please come sit with me. Let's go kick the state's butt.
I am the second I got out, I joined the mentor-mentee program, and I've been a lawyer for 11 years now. My first year, right away I joined, and my first mentor was Joe Varela, and Joe Varela shaped my idea of what it is to be a criminal defense attorney, and I'm still
That's
recovering.
a good one. That's a good one to start off with.
No, I'm not kidding.
Shaped, why did he point to his hair?
I still use the same motions, some of the same motions, right? I've crafted them over the years. The HCLA mentor-mentee program helped me be here. It started me. It gave me strength and support, somebody to look after. The first felony case I ever had, Joe Varela mentored me, and we ended up getting it dismissed. And after that, I felt like, wow, this organization as a group, I will forever be indebted to it to give that out. And so
awesome.
The second year program is amazing. Reach out to Katie, reach out to Kate Farrell, reach out to her. I think we're having a meeting. When is that meeting? Talk to us about when the next meeting is.
Well, you can fill out an application on HCCLA's website. I will keep those applications open till the 13th, and then partnerships will be announced by the 19th of January. Now, along with that, we're also going to bring back the brainstorming lunches. We're going to do it through Zoom, and the first one is going to be February 2nd. It'll be the first Tuesday of each month, and these are just a time for, you don't have to be a part of the second chair program. You just, any HCLA member
I want to volunteer now. I would like to be a mentor.
You still have to fill out the
Hooray!
application, JV.
So I've also been a mentor. I've mentored two. The first one is Ricardo Laredo. The other individual is Corey Roth, which we don't talk about much.
Wow, you
Why?
created Corey.
Does the
You
mentee
created
get
that-
to pick
I was
the
paired up with Corey and
mentor?
we never hooked up, but it turns out him and I have just been like down from the beginning, you know?
How are the mentors and the mentees matched?
Kate.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you look for, Kate?
So you can also request, if you have like somebody you're thinking of or some ideas. I'm going to try to take everything that's put down on the application into account as best as I can. But yeah, I'm just going to try to match years of experience, because some of the like mentees, some are brand new attorneys, or some are like me who may have been prosecutors but are now new defense attorneys. So I'm going to try to match, years of experience, personalities as best as I can. I will say that everybody that's, as far as the mentor side, everybody that signed up is fantastic. I'm so excited that they signed up to be mentors. I don't know all the mentees, but yeah, I'm just gonna, try my best to find good partnerships for everybody. And then of course I will be there along the way to help any issues and facilitate whatever I can.
So it's not like Match.com where you have to answer a bunch of personality questions and then you have an algorithm that like pairs us up with the right person.
Hey, one of the questions is gonna be, do you want to be hooked up with Justin Harris? Yeah.
I'll be like, Kate,
Right?
I didn't get paired with anyone.
Yeah,
Like-
well, everybody said no, so what are you gonna
Justin,
do?
I'll pair
Everyone
with
said
you.
no to that one.
I'll pair with you, Justin.
So one
Thanks,
of
Biogy.
the things I'll tell Biogy, you and I were supposed to have a duel.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
because
And then Hurricane Harvey happened. I remember
won
that.
one, Biogy won one, I won one, Biogy won one, and we were gonna just like, hey, but
I don't get the opportunity to try a case against you, but I certainly would love to try one with you.
hey, you shall. Hey, okay, so we got a new, last couple, any other public service announcements? Any other thoughts before we go to next one? Next
The
subject?
DC thing,
Which DC thing?
we were talking about DC. I just got a meme that was awesome. It says, after today's events, Mexico has decided that they will pay for the wall, and Canada wants one too.
Sure. Hey, border.
I like that.
I didn't cross the border crossed me. I don't know, man. I don't know. It was funny though. It was funny. You see the meme with the guys crawling up the wall, and they're like, "I've seen this somewhere before." That was funny. What are some other memes? Have you seen the one where Nicolas Cage is in the back and like saying like, "Wake up, sheeple," and he has the Constitution and he's getting out? That one's funny. That one's real funny.
Oh man, that was crazy.
Ones that you, other than,
That's the first one I gotten.
Seriously,
that
bro,
whole-
where you
from
been
that whole-
for like a day?
From that whole mess, I don't do social media. I just got that on a text message.
Okay. New judges. New last public service announcement. Join HCLA. Do it now. Get it on top of the listserv. You got the latest ins. Join. Christina Appellant.
Pelt.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, Appelt. No, come on, man. Anyways, okay. New judges coming in. So, let's see.
Oh, it's gonna be great.
We got
Colleen Guido.
Judge Colleen Guido,
Judge Tiiva Bell.
Judge Tiiva Bell. I heard she's doing some really strong discovery moves in the sense of, hey, look, state, you better have this or you're not using it, and we're not waiting for, for any nonsense either. Anybody heard anything about other than and more about Judge Bell? Anything?
I just heard that right there.
I heard that. I heard she's kicking ass.
It's been a week, so I haven't really had a chance to go into their courts. I'm going into
Yeah.
Judge Bell's court next week, though.
I won't say who said it, but they said it was very refreshing to see her on the bench.
I bet she'll be good.
Judge Guido, I had a couple trials in her. I had a trial set for her on this like pretrial conference Thursday, trial Monday. Those trials are from mine. Like I had one this week. It's getting pushed till April or May. I don't know. Has anybody heard anything similar?
All I've heard is they have no idea about trials. They haven't renewed the lease at NRG. There's no word from the district clerk whether the jury assembly room would meet the requirements for spacing. So really, there's no plan.
Judge
Sounds like par for the course.
Judge Natalia in the 351st. I heard she shut her doors. Like you ain't coming in right now.
Yes, she's going to be great for justice, I think.
I think so.
And any of these judges who word can get to them,
great for
please
Justin
come on.
or Justice?
Yeah.
Justice.
Is that great for Justin or Justice?
Justice. Justice. Remains to be seen what will be great for Justin and his clients.
Hey, Judge Anna Martinez coming in on Bioji's old court. What you think, man? Thumbs up, thumbs down?
I'm looking forward.
District Court Judge, thumbs up or thumbs down?
Looking forward to it.
That's good. I think she's going to be a good judge. Favorite Judge Rule memory as we go out. I love the way he spoke Spanish and German.
I always felt like
French.
I was on the Jeopardy game show. Every time I walked out of there, I knew a new random tidbit of information.
The man is full of knowledge.
He's an encyclopedia. He's an encyclopedia for sure.
He is, man.
I tried a sexual assault in front of him before he lost his bench the first time, and every time the jury would take a break or he would take a break, he would play his jingle, his campaign jingle.
Early and vote.
Randy Roll,
vote
Judge
for Roll. Early and vote.
I mean, I guess I had a different experience in his court because I felt like he used his knowledge to try to screw over my clients as best as he could. So
yeah, you're just saying that he did that to all of us.
Yeah.
You did that to all of us.
Hey, look,
I
think we're done by OG, for Kate Farrell, for Justin Harris, for the Houston Media Source, for the 2021. Thank you so much for coming. Harris County Criminal Lawyers Association. Join up, second chair program. Join up the organization. Pay your dues. Pay your dues. Yeah,
please.
yeah. I'd like to get some Kanye now. No.
I got nothing.
Getting to stop.
We can't afford the royalties.
Bioji, thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Bioji. It's good seeing you, man. Happy New Year.
I hope to see you guys in the courtroom.
Yeah,
call if you need anything.
I appreciate that. I definitely will be reaching out, guys.
Good luck.
All right.
Adios, amigos.
Mark, tell us when we're clear.
Are we off?